discussing why deciding on a major is important and share resources to help you pick a major. Then we will demystify common majors related questions. Then we will just deconstruct the types of requirements to pay attention to. We will then cover UC Davis selective major requirements and wrap up the resources and Q&A. Next. When it comes to transfer admissions, major preparation is critical. Why, you may ask? Well, because in order to apply for transfer admissions, you have to apply to a specific major. Unfortunately, there is no undeclared option for a transfer student since you are entering the university with a junior standing. This is why deciding on a major is very important because it can affect your admission. However, it's important to note that while major selection can be very important, you should always keep in mind that there may be more than just one major that can lead you to your ideal career path. It's important to do independent research to learn what universities offer the major you're interested in and what the major looks like at that university to see if you're genuinely interested in that field of study. Instead of simply Googling what campuses offer the major you're interested in, there are several great resources to help you narrow down your major and campus of interest. The first resources we'll like to share is Los Medanos Transfer Major Explorer that has combination of UC and CSU majors based on area of interest and discipline. The UC Major Explorer showcases different majors across the UC system, and the CSU Major Explorer showcases CSU majors by campus. So now let's demystify some common major-related questions asked by the students. If you know the answer, please drop the answer in the chat. Kim is a psychology major in community college. Does that mean she can only apply to UC Davis as a psychology major? What do you think? Any suggestions as to what she could major in instead of psychology? That's right. The correct answer is no. Kim could apply to UC Davis as cognitive science major instead, or even neurobiology, physiology, and behavior major. Your major in community college does not have to be the same major you select on your admissions application. So if you are a biology major at community college, you can apply to animal science at UC Davis. The important part is that you do the major preparation that is required for admission into the major and campus you are interested in. If you're considering double majoring after transferring, we encourage you to do as much major preparation for both majors in community college to be academically prepared for both majors. Keep in mind, depending on which UC campus you apply to, you may not be able to change your major after transferring. So it is important that you apply to your top major choice from the beginning. At UC Davis, transfer students can petition to change the majors after the first quarter. But remember, it is a petition to change major, so there is no guarantee that you will be able to. Let's go over another question. Jackie's dream school is UC Davis, but she heard there is no business major offered. What should she do? Any ideas? While the obvious answer may be applied to a university that does offer that major, there is another option. While UC Davis does not have business administration major, we offer other majors within the realm of business like economics, managerial economics, or mathematical analytics and operation research. Not every UC offers the same majors, but they may have similar majors that can get you to your desired career path. There can be more than one way to attain your ideal goal. For example, law school accepts students from any major. You do not have to opt for traditional political science major to pursue law school. Same goes for medical school. Most students think they have to be biology majors to be a doctor. That is not the case. You can be engineering major or even chemistry major to apply to medical school as long as you completed the courses that are required for admission. Experience plays a big role in helping you land your dream job, sometimes even more than your education. Internships, research, and work experiences are vital and can open your eyes into a new career path. Next up, we are going to share potential majors at UC Davis based on areas of interest. If you're interested in medical school, these are some potential majors at UC Davis, including biological sciences, biomedical engineering, neurobiology, physiology and behavior, pharmaceutical chemistry, and psychology. But there are many other good options. If you're interested in nursing, these are some good options at UC Davis, including biological sciences, clinical nutrition, human development, neurobiology, physiology and behavior, and psychology. But again, there are more options. If you are interested in being a teacher, these are some options. Human development is a good option if you're interested in being an elementary school teacher. But if you're interested in teaching a specific subject, it is encouraged that you major in that subject. For pre-law students, as mentioned previously, you can be any major to study law. These are common majors like political science, English, philosophy, Chicanic studies, economics, but you are not restricted to only these. We will go over another question. Fabian wants to apply to UC Davis as biological sciences major, but is applying to UC Santa Barbara as marine biology major. Is that an issue? Applying to a different UC campuses with different major is okay, and sometimes even encouraged. Not every UC offers the same majors, nor do they have the same areas of specialization. So it is important to look into which UC offers what you'd like to study and what the focus of the major looks like. If you are applying to UCs with different majors, it is recommended you be mindful of your response to the mandatory personal insight question on the UC application, as the same response is read by all the UCs you apply to. Now, I would like to pass the presentation to Janelle.
Hello, everyone. So we will be starting off with a question. Lisa is interested in both mechanical engineering and civil engineering. She wants to learn more about the major to decide which one to apply to. Where can she learn more about the major at UC Davis? Does anyone have any ideas? Tip, it's a website. Anyone have any ideas? Awesome. Well, you can find this information on the university catalog. To help you distinguish between majors and campuses, the university catalog is the best place. Each university has its own catalog that showcases the degrees and programs it offers, as well as course descriptions. The uniqueness of a major typically determined at the upper level division classes through major-specific coursework. For example, while all UC Davis College of Biological Science majors have the same major preparation and requirements for admission, they heavily differ in upper division courses, which makes cell biology different from plant biology. If you are split on majors or simply want to learn more about the intricacies of each major and the classes offered, visit the catalog. We will drop the link to the UC Davis catalog in the chat. Now that we've talked about misconceptions, let's discuss different types of requirements. General education requirements, or GEs, are designed to help undergraduates gain a broad background in key academic disciplines. Generally, general education requirements are encouraged to be completed before transfer, but this heavily varies by major and campus interest. For example, at UC Berkeley, for many social science majors, IGETC is required for admission, but UC Davis does not require it for admission. If your major requires few major preparation, completion of GEs is strongly recommended. However, for courses with a lot of major preparation requirements, focus on major preparation is highly recommended. Major preparation requirements depend on campus and major, and can be required for admission. These are courses specifically required for you to earn your degree. We will go more in depth in the next few slides. Lastly, UC-wide transfer admission requirements are required of all transfer applicants and are the same for all UCs regardless of major. There are minimum general admission requirements to be considered for transfer admission across the UC system. The minimum units required for junior level transfer is 60 transferable semester units or 90 quarter units. 2.4 is the minimum GPA requirement to be considered for admission to UC, but some campuses have higher GPA minimums. But at UC Davis, the minimum overall GPA is 2.8 for all non-engineering majors and 3.1 for all engineering majors and computer science majors. To be competitive as a transfer student, you must strive for a high GPA and complete all the major preparation coursework so that you are prepared to transfer. TAG has a higher threshold of criteria than the general admissions. You can also use assist.org to determine which courses at your community college are UC transferable. In addition to minimum UC requirements, transfer applicants also have to complete major preparation courses. Depending on your major, some, if not all, major preparation courses are required for admission. Based off campus and major interest, some majors may not have any major requirements for admission or any courses available at your community college that satisfies those requirements. It all depends on your major interest. Every UC campus has majors that have specific coursework and GPA requirements for admission. These majors will vary by campus. At UC Davis, we refer to them as selective majors. At other UC campuses, they may be called impacted, capped, or screening majors. If you are applying to a non-selective major at UC Davis, then completion of your major preparation is highly recommended, but not required for admission. However, if you are applying to a UC Davis selective major, you must make sure you will complete all of the required coursework by the end of your last spring term at your community college. Summer coursework completed the summer before transfer will not be taken into consideration to determine admissions. It's important to note that major GPAs must be met at the time of tag or the general application deadline. So here's an example. If only one course out of 3 have been completed by the time the application has been submitted, that grade must be higher than the minimum GPA for the entire course group. While UC Davis offers over 100 undergraduate majors, 34 majors are considered selective. If your major of interest is in this list here, you have to pay close attention to our selective major requirements and prioritize completing certain coursework. Before we will dig deeper in each of these majors in the next few slides, students are expected to take courses comparable to the UC Davis course requirement as long as they are offered at their California community college they attend. When the assist.org website indicates no comparable course or not articulated, the selective major course requirement will be waived for UC Davis admissions or tag, but it must be completed after enrolling at UC Davis. You can find community college courses that are comparable to UC Davis courses using assist.org. We will now go over some of the UC Davis majors that are selective but not all, and requirements for selection. It is important to note here that we are using UC Davis coursework. To determine the articulate coursework at your community college, you must use assist.org's major guide. Please use the most current document to view the extensive list of selective major requirements. Also, please visit our selective major website. For managerial economics, micro and macro econ are required along with the calculus series and statistics. These courses need to be completed with a 2.0 in the entire course group. There are additional recommended courses listed on Assist for this major. If you do not complete them at community college, you would need to complete these courses at UC Davis. All majors that fall within our College of Biological Sciences have the exact same criteria for admission. Students must achieve a minimum of 2.5 in their calculus series, general chemistry series, and biology series. Completion of organic chemistry and physics is highly recommended, but not required for admission at UC Davis. Please note that you cannot apply directly for the human biology major. If you are interested in human biology, you must apply for a different College of Biological Science majors. If you are then admitted as a College of Biological Science major, you can then enter the lottery for a chance to declare the human biology major after you transfer. All College of Engineering majors require the set of courses listed here, but each major also has additional requirements that are unique to it, so it's important to check our website for major requirement details. All majors require the calculus series, linear algebra, differential equations, as well as the calculus-based physics series and chemistry 1. The minimum GPA for general admission for engineering is a 3.1 overall in all transferable coursework and a 3.2 in major-specific requirements. For TAG, the GPA requirements are higher. It's a 3.5 overall and a 3.5 in major-specific requirements. All majors except computer science and data science are open to TAG. All students interested in applying to the computer science major can apply through the regular admissions process by submitting their UC applications by November 30th. The minimum overall GPA to be considered for computer science is a 3.1. Students must also achieve a 3.4 in their calculus series and required computer science coursework. For psychology, general psychology, statistics, and biology are required for the psychology major. It is important to note that if you choose the Bio 10 option as opposed to Bio 2A, you must also take one more course listed in the other course category. The minimum GPA is a 2.9 for all required courses. Now, landscape architecture is not a selective major for admission purposes, but we are listing it here because if you want this major, you must apply to the pre-major and submit a portfolio after enrolling at UC Davis. The portfolio review is used to determine if the major can be declared. You may find other majors at other UCs that also require a portfolio for admission or selection into the major after transfer. Now, if you are enrolled at a California community college, you'll need to know how to navigate assist.org. It's a great place to find UC and CSU transferable courses. It has articulation agreements and a major guide to help you identify what courses to take. If you are interested in UC campuses, you should create a UC TAP account ASAP. TAP stands for the Transfer Admission Planner. It's a University of California online tool that helps transfer students track their progress. It also allows for UC representatives to do a pre-evaluation and give tailored advising. TAP is also home of the Transfer Admission Guarantee. Another good resource is on UC Tap. So under the support program section, you could find many transfer preparation programs at each UC campus, like TOP at UC Davis. Last but not least, your go-to support for all transfer questions is your transfer center. Get to know your counselors and transfer center staff as soon as possible. They can contact you to university representatives. Reaching out to transfer preparation programs at UCs or university representatives can be helpful in making sure that you're on track to transfer to the UC of your choice. It's always best to hear it from the source, so reach out. Okay, so here are some important deadlines for transfer application during the admissions progress. So on August 1st, the UC application opens. Later, on October 1st, the CSU application portal opens for the fall admission cycle. Now, I want you to note that most UC campuses only offer a fall admission cycle, while some CSU campuses offer both fall and spring admission cycles. Moving on to September 30th, that's the deadline for tag applications. Some UC campuses will review tag and send out notifications by November. UC Davis is one of them. Then moving on to November 30th, CSU and UC applications are due. A few months later, UC campuses have the transfer admission update due. Usually it's at the end of January. At that time, you should also create an admissions portal to each of the campuses you've applied to. CSUs also require an update through their portal. FAFSA or the California DREAM Act application is usually due on March 2nd. Please don't wait until last minute to submit your application for financial aid. It's not worth the stress. Then between March and April, UC campuses will release their decision for admission. CSUs usually send the decisions between February and March. Lastly, on the timeline, June 1st is the deadline for submitting your statement of intent to enroll. You will be expected to log on to your student portal to either accept or decline your admissions offer. Now, at this time, we are going to open this up for questions.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen for a little bit. So now we're gonna open up to doing some live Q&A for the Q&A that y'all are dropping in the Q&A function. So feel free to drop in all your questions and we'll get to them. Myself and Jacqueline will tackle admissions, and then Iman and Janelle can kind of chime in for student life questions. So go ahead and drop all those wonderful questions in the Q&A. Really, a common question that we get is when you are on assist.org and you notice that there's some classes that show no course articulated for that class. We often get students that ask, do I have to take it? Do I take it somewhere else? So the question, the answer is, if it's truly not offered at your community college, then the course will be waived for admission and you will be asked to take the class after you transfer. However, it's important to make sure that you find out whether the class is truly not offered at your campus. Sometimes there's little hiccups on assist, so you want to verify that it is actually not offered at your campus. And you can talk to a community college counselor, or you can talk to a UC Davis representative to get that clarification. But if it's truly not articulated or offered at your campus, then it will be waived for admission. If you would like to take it at another campus, you are welcome to, as long as it is the course that you need. Okay. All right. Let's see. I saw another question in the Q&A that asked, if I submit tag, do I still have to submit the UC application? The answer is yes. You still have to submit the UC application. That is the formal application for admission. The tag application is merely you throwing your hat in the ring for a guaranteed admission. So short answer, yes, you have to complete both. If you submit a tag to UC Davis, we generally encourage you to wait until you get your tag decision back by November 15th in order to submit your UC application, just to make sure that you can make any edits as necessary to the application itself based off of your evaluation from the tag. Eric asked, can I tag to Davis for design? Yes, you are able to tag to Davis with the design major. We do not ask for a portfolio for admission. The only majors at UC Davis that are not open for tag is computer science and data science. So those are the only two majors that are not available for tag at UC Davis. I do recommend that if you're considering tagging to a different campus, that you do research to make sure that the major you're interested in is tag eligible. Each campus has different guidelines around tag, whether it's GPA requirements or majors that are open for tag. So keep an eye out on where you're gonna tag and what majors they offer. All right, okay. Another question about, do we need a letter of recommendation for admission or for the application? For the general admissions application, no, there is no letter of recommendation that is required. Please don't send us any. The only time you may be asked for a letter of recommendation is if you're being extended an opportunity to apply for a specific scholarship. But that will be something that will be emailed to you using the email that you use for your UC application. Otherwise, there is no letter of recommendation required. Another great question. If I'm accepted under tag at UC Davis, knowing that their decisions come out mid-November, will I automatically be accepted for normal application? You are guaranteed admission so long as you complete the requirements stated in your tag. So the transfer admission guarantee is a contract between you and the university. You are acknowledging that you will complete a certain set of requirements in order to maintain your spot in the university. So whether it's units, whether it's keeping your GPA above either the 3.2 for most majors or a 3.5 for engineering majors, there are a certain set of things that you have to complete and maintain in order to uphold your tag. If you do not complete any of or one of the requirements that you were contracted for under tag, then that does and can affect your admission. Now, again, remember, even if you're submitting a tag application, you still need to submit the UC application. So if you don't submit the UC application, you don't have a guaranteed spot, right? There's also, as Janelle mentioned earlier, and I will share again, there is a really important thing that happens in the month of January through that transfer academic update. That is a requirement for all transfer applicants. So it typically actually opens closer to the end of December. All you have to do is log back into the UC application, submit the grades you received for fall, and then update your classes in the spring. If you do not complete that academic update, your application can be canceled. So make sure you go ahead, put it on your calendars, put it on your radar that January 1st, you submit the transfer academic update through the UC application. You will get plenty of emails about it. So no need to worry about it now, but it is something that you do have to complete. All right, Iman, Janelle, and Jacqueline, if there's any questions that you want me to answer live, please go ahead and identify them in the Q&A so I can answer them. All right. Okay, so Jay's asking, can I apply with regular application with required major prep course plan to be done in the summer before starting? So it I want to say it depends on whether you're applying to a selective major. If you are applying to one of these that we listed over here as a selective major, any major on this screen, then you have to complete your major specific requirements by the end of the spring before you transfer. So as an example, for anybody interested in the College of Biological Sciences, your requirements for admission is calculus, bio, and chemistry. And we highly recommend you complete organic chemistry and physics as well. But if maybe you're missing your last physics course, you could wrap that up in that summer before starting at our campus. Or you could complete remaining coursework of the organic chemistry and physics at our campus. But like I said, it's very dependent on what major you're interested in and what requirements are required for your major. So most of the time, it's best to plan ahead and try to complete as many requirements by the end of that spring before transfer. Great question. Okay. All right. So I see another question. What criteria do we use to determine who gets accepted through TAG? The criteria that's on our website, right? So we're going to look at, do you have 30 semester units at the time that you are filing for TAG, right? So your last opportunity, if you're applying for TAG for next year, would be this past summer that just happened. We're also going to look for, do you have a plan to complete 60 semester units by the end of the spring before you transfer? We're also going to look at, do you meet the requirements for your major if you're applying to a selective major? Do you meet minimum UC eligibility with your 2 English classes, your math class, your subjects courses? Right, so there's a few different requirements. I'll go ahead drop the link to the TAG website if you want to do more research. But for the most part, a really big component is if you're applying to a selective major, that you meet the requirements for that selective major. You don't have to complete everything right now, but you have to be in line with the GPA requirement. So for example, managerial economics requires a 2.0 for the entire course group. If you're applying for TAG for fall 2024 admission, you would need to meet that 2.0 by the time that you're filing the TAG, even if you still are finishing up statistics next semester. Okay. Link to TAG requirements is in the chat. All right. Okay, so let's see. Is it possible to post all the dates for the deadlines mentioned? What are the resources available to us to help with the process? Yes. These are the important dates and deadlines that Janelle went over during the presentation. Take a picture of it. Take a screenshot. It's very critical. This timeline is very similar to almost every year. There's minor changes here and there, but these are the biggest things that you have to worry about and focus on for transfer admission, right? The application opens August 1st to get started on. So the month of September is TAG month. If you tag to Davis, we'll notify you by mid-November. The UC application filing period is October 1st to November 30th. The transfer academic update is in January. The deadline for financial aid applications is March 2nd. And then admissions decisions for transfer admission are released from typically around March, April, depending on the campus. And deadline to SIR is June 1st. So leave it up for a little bit longer. Please take a picture, write it down. This is a critical timeline. Okay. Jacqueline, I'm hoping you can help me with this question. For foreign transcripts, do I have to go through a third part for evaluation? Or for the application, do I need to submit official transcripts?
Only if you are asked, I believe. If we actually have a whole international unit with experts who are familiar kind of country by country for transcripts from other places. So if they get stumped, they will communicate with you. And for everybody, this is a great reason to check your email regularly, whatever address you're providing to the UC system for contact. Really do go in there. I know it's kind of old school, maybe for some of you, but it's important to look at that, especially from the time that you apply for tag or the application onwards. So I would say initially report your grades just as they appear with all the information that's requested about your institutions abroad. And we will look through those thoroughly. And if we have questions or need official transcripts, then we'll ask for them. Okay. Good question though. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Okay, let's see. Does UC Davis students let students choose alternate majors? Does the application suggest alternate majors? You are able to pick alternate majors on the UC application for transfer admission. I actually have a few tips regarding alternate majors. These are reviewed case by case. But I do recommend that if you're applying for, if you're considering applying for an alternate major, be strategic about what majors you pick, right? So, for example, and I use the College of Biological Sciences a lot, but they have really the great examples. So, all the majors in this College of Biological Sciences have the same requirements for admission. So if, unfortunately, you don't meet the requirements for biochemistry, you won't meet them for cell biology because they have the same requirements for admission, right? So if you want to try applying for biological sciences because that's your top pick an alternate major for, maybe biopsychology or global disease biology that doesn't have the same requirements for admission, giving you an extra shot of being considered, right? Same thing goes with psychology, right? If you're still missing that statistics class and you're not sure you're going to be able to pass it, then alternate major, pick something else that's not a selective major. Maybe pick cognitive science, pick sociology, right? That doesn't have those same admissions criteria, to give yourself that extra shot. All right. Ooh, great question. Can you apply several times? Like if you got denied for fall 2024, can you apply again? Yes, you can apply again for admission. You can also apply to tag every year as well. The only thing to note is that it's important that you're being honest about your academic history and all of your applications for admission, right? So if you apply this year and then you apply next year and you omit some of the classes that you reported this year, it's a big no-no. Okay, so just keep in mind that we have access to previous applications, not that it will impact your admission, but we want to make sure that you are being you're being honest about your academic history. All right. So a question about double majoring. So if I complete all major requirements to qualify for tag for 2 majors, which one should I list on tag? That's a really great question. I always recommend that you apply to the more selective major or to the major that's selective, right? So in your case, biochemistry and molecular bio would be the way to go because it is a selective major compared to English and it has a higher threshold for admission, right? So I recommend going biochemistry and then declaring English after you transfer. There is, depending on what major you're interested in, it's easier to go from one major to another if you switch or declare a second one. But again, it's a petition to change your major or, declare another major. So it is going to depend on your major advisor and your advisor at the dean's office of the college of that specific major after you transfer. Okay. If you do bad in a major prep class, but retake it and get an A or a B, is the previous time going to affect your GPA? That's a great question. So we will actually take the repeat grade. So we'll take, the A or the B that you got the second time around that you took the class, but it is important that you report both grades. So we still need to see those, bad grades as they show on your transcript in the UC application or the tag application, right? You want to be transparent about your academic record to its fullest extent. So anything that's on your transcript needs to be on your applications, even if it's a non-transferable class, even if, you repeated it, even if it's an academic renewal, we need to see your full academic history on your applications. But the benefit is, those DNF grades that are repeated won't impact your GPA or your unit count. We kind of just remove them from our evaluation. All right, so is there a limit on transferable credits at UC Davis, or would all transfer qualifying credits be moved over from a community college? So the limit on transferable credits, if you are coming from a California community college, you would never risk being senior level standing. You will always be junior level standing, no matter if you have 200 units from a California community college. Now, you will not particularly get full unit credit for every class that you took above, I believe it's 70 semester units, but you will get course credit. So if, for example, the last classes you took in community college is the physics series, and you are at 100 units of community college credit. So you won't get the unit credit, but you'll get the credit for having taken physics at community college, which means you won't have to take it again at our university. And if it's a prerequisite for a class, the prerequisite will be satisfied. You just, there's just a certain number of unit cap that the university, the university caps students to a certain level of units to ensure that you have enough range to take another set of units at our campus. And that's more or less just requirements for graduation. So if all your credits coming in from a California community college, you're totally fine. It only gets tricky when you take credit at a four-year university, another UC, a Cal State is when you can run the risk of being considered senior level standing. So, let's see. Oh, okay. So, question about taking stats, as pass, no pass, can you still transfer the credits to UC? For regular admission or for the math requirement, yes. If statistics is a requirement for your major, for example, psychology, then it's a little bit tricky because we do require that all courses be taken for a lettered grade. So it really is dependent on the circumstance, but you will still get unit credit for it. All right, next question is, if you meet requirements already and end up not taking any classes spring semester before transfer, how does it affect tag or regular admission? It doesn't affect admission. You do just have to specify why you're not enrolled in classes in the applications, and you'll see that you're prompted to fill out a comment box if the system recognizes that you're not listing any classes. you can, give a simple answer saying, I'm working full time to save money, or whatever your circumstances is. Just go ahead and give us a little note as to why you're not enrolled in classes. You can also just say, I met all my requirements. So we just want a little description as to why you're not enrolled. Ooh, really great question. So if you get accepted in fall 2024, but something happens and you can't attend that quarter, can you delay for spring or fall 2025, or do you have to reapply? So if you are accepted, in order to defer your admission, you'd have to SIR, which means that you have to say yes to our university and submit your statement of intent to register. Once you submit the SIR, if you want to defer, you can defer up to 1 year. So if you are admitted for fall 2024, you would have up until fall 2025 to enroll at the university. Anything after that, you would have to reapply for admission, but you could potentially defer for only 1 quarter, 2 quarters, or the whole year. Okay, so a question here about explaining how UC's works regarding getting approved or changing your major after transfer. So this is really dependent on what your major is and what UC you are applying to or planning to attend. So there are certain campuses that in which transfer students are not allowed to change their major, right? And there's other campuses where you can petition to change your major after you transfer. You want to look at the university websites and guidelines for transfer students in order to learn the requirements for each campus, right? At Davis, you can change your major after, or petition to change your major after 1 quarter. But it's a petition to change your major. It is not guaranteed. It's really dependent on how much major preparation you've done in the major you're looking to switch into. If you're going from an engineering major to another engineering major, it's fairly easy. A lot of the requirements are similar. Same thing with the College of Biological Sciences majors. You can switch amongst the college. But if you're thinking of majoring or changing from psychology to computer science, that's a very drastic change, and computer science is a very selective major. So I would recommend that from the beginning, you always apply to the major that you're truly wanting to get your bachelor's degree in, right? Even if that means you've got to stay an extra year or, do some more preparation, apply to that major that you really want from the beginning to ensure that you are going to be that major. All right. Okay, so if you do not make any major's minimum GPA requirement, is the application denied automatically, or is it still held for consideration based on circumstances? Great question. It depends on the campus, and it depends on the campus's consideration of admission for transfer students, and I'll explain. So different UC campuses have different guidelines for admission of transfer students. Campuses like UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Irvine, and UC San Diego review students holistically. So they'll take into consideration your personal insight questions and your extracurricular activities, as well as your academic coursework, right, into consideration for their admissions for transfer students. So they'll review your application in entirety. Whereas campuses like Davis, we review transfer applicants based off of academic performance. So we're going to screen you for meeting UC minimum eligibility. meeting selective major criteria if you're applying to a selective major. Again, going back, these are the selective majors. And then depending on how competitive your major is, you know, the competitiveness of your GPA. So if you do not meet the selective major criteria for a selective major, then unfortunately you will not be eligible for admission into that major. At which point we recommend that you consider a different major to begin with, if you're really interested in attending a specific campus, right? Again, going back to the College of Biological Sciences, if you by chance got 2 C's in chemistry, your series GPA is at a 2.0, not a 2.5. And per guidelines of community colleges and our admissions policy, you're not able to repeat a C grade, right? So you wouldn't be able to meet the 2.5 GPA. So it's, in that case, I would recommend applying under a different major that doesn't have as strict admissions requirements if you really want to come to UC Davis, because you wouldn't meet the selective major criteria. Now, if you are applying to a different major that's not on the screen, then your review is based solely on the competitiveness of your GPA and whether you meet minimum UC eligibility and the slots available in the major, right? So, it's really dependent on the major that you apply to and the UC campus, right? It's kind of the theme of this presentation is things vary based off of where you're interested. So your research into what's necessary for the universities you want to attend is very vital. That's why it's important that you also know what major you want to study, because that impacts your admission. Okay. Okay, all right, let's see. What else? Is it possible to choose computer science as an alternate major if I'm majoring in mathematical scientific computation? Hey, David. Here's the thing, at least in your case, or for anybody that wants to tag, right? If you're submitting a tag to Davis, then your major has to be the same as it is on tag as it is on the UC application. If you switch majors, right? If you submit your tag as mechanical engineering and then your UC application shows computer science, your tag will be nullified because they do not line up, right? So you want to make sure that if you really want computer science or data science, to not go the tag route and to just pursue regular apply through the regular admission cycle, because that's all that's offered for that major, right? If you want the tag, then you should pick a major that is available for tag that you'd be okay with, right? If your UC application major is different from your tag major, then you will be reviewed by the UC application major. So keep that in mind. So let's see. Sorry, so many questions. And just 4 more minutes. So let's see. Here's a great question. If we're applying to a selective major like engineering and you're missing one of the I get C requirements, but you have all major requirements, are you still eligible for admission? So I get C or completion of general education requirements are actually not required for admission to UC Davis. They're generally encouraged for students to complete if you have the time and space in your schedule to do so. But any remaining general education requirements can actually be completed the summer before you transfer at your community college, or you can just complete those remaining requirements at our institution after you transfer. So IGETC is not an admissions requirement. Neither is an associate's degree. You do not need an associate's degree to apply for admission. Okay. All right, I think we've gone through most of these applications. So, related to what I just said, is an associate's degree better when applying? It doesn't affect your admission, not to the UC system. It's beneficial to do an ADT for Cal States if you're applying to Cal States, but it's not reviewed in the same way at the UC level. It's more of just a benefit for you to complete if you want that associate's degree, or if you're applying to the Cal States. Let's see. Okay, all right. Well, I know I've answered most of these majors, most of those questions left in the Q&A. Let's see. If my GPA does not meet the requirement for tag, but I make it up after the semester at my community college, would anything be affected? So also depends on the campus that you're applying to. If you're interested in a tag to UC Davis, unfortunately, we do not use fall of when you're applying for tag to for the consideration of the tag. UC Davis reviews only up to the summer before you apply for tag. Other campuses though work a little bit differently. So I encourage you to maybe look into some of those that don't have that early evaluation, the way that UC Davis and UC Merced does. And the reason is because we notify you in the by mid-November, right? Which is before you would have your final grades for fall. So it's why we can't use those in our review. But I like to stress that tag is only one form of admission. It is not the only form of admission. So even if you're not tag eligible, that's okay. I got admitted to Davis without a tag, and here I am, an alum, working to help out the next wave of transfer students. So don't be discouraged if you don't meet the eligibility for tag. Definitely apply for regular admission. All right. So with that being said, I don't see any new questions in the chat. I answered that question about biochemistry and English already, and then computer science as an alternate major was also answered. So, all right, last question right before 6. If I wanted to study political science in relation to policy creation while also studying the implications of entomology on trade and agriculture, could you study under 3 different colleges? Entomology, I believe, would be under a College of Agriculture.
Yeah.
But the short answer is yes, you could major in double major in political science and entomology or agriculture.
Or a good attractive alternative maybe is consider the minors, because the minors are very specific at Davis. And I forget the exact number, but I think there's like something over 7 dozen that are very different than the majors proper. So when we offer a minor like that, you're really seeing somebody's got a major passion on the faculty for following down something like apiary sciences or something like that. And they are cool, and they don't really get the same play that the majors do. So think about doing that. That might in the end be a more efficient and interesting way for you to pursue all those interests you listed, Kaden.
Yeah. And if you're considering more the policy piece, we do have an environmental science and policy major that might be better than the political science route. Okay, all right. I'll answer the last 2 and then that's all I'm taking. Can majors and minors be for entirely different subjects? Yes, most minors are about 20 units, so which is about 4 to 5 classes. depending on the type of minor. So you can definitely pick up a minor in something else as long as you take the necessary coursework for the minor and your major. All right. With that being said, I want to thank you for sticking around with us for this session. Thanks for stopping by. I encourage you to check out the rest of our wonderful webinars that we have for the rest of the semester. But thanks for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, great questions, everybody. Go after that fall term, okay? Go get them. Hopefully we'll see you this time next year. Thank you.
Go Wags!